AFC East today.
I'm good for it. Let's roll.
All right, man. Let's do it. AFC East. So we got the Pats, obviously, the Bills, Dolphins, and the lousy Jets. So
Jets, Jets.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna be cheering much this year. I mean, it's let's might as well just start with them, bro.
That's fine.
I gave us a little list here. I don't know if you want to kick it off. You want me to? But the first thing I said was biggest additions. So you got any?
Yeah. So I have a list of about 7 people that I have that I think are some big additions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think LaMarcus Joyner at safety is a huge pickle for them. Corey Davis, from a receiver standpoint, is going to be huge. Also, Keelan Cole as a receiver. I think just having those veteran receivers for Zach Wilson is going to be huge. And then I also think just them drafting Elijah Moore is going to be huge for him.
Definitely.
And then them picking up Dan Feeney just as a guard, because they're going to need as much protection as they can from him. And then them drafting Elijah Vera Tucker on the line as well. So anything that's going to help Zach Wilson kind of progress along, I think is going to be the key for them. Defensively, I think they'll be pretty solid. Like I said, I like that LaMarcus Joyner pickup. So, but it's going to be a long season. What you got?
I agree, man. I mean, obviously, Zach Wilson seems talented, but it's, it could be a Darnold situation if they're not going to, surround him with talent. And we saw Darnold kind of just crumble because he had no protection and no one to throw the ball to. So, it's really about building up that O-line. But before we get to that, yeah, I think Carl Lawson was huge. He's coming over from Cincinnati. They needed a pass rush. That D was just absolutely horrendous. I mean, I think, and then like you said, it's awesome that they're doing stuff for their secondary, because they had like a bottom 4 or 5 secondary in the league last year, so it's going to be huge for them. Yeah, and then as far as needs, I think it's just the line, bro. Like obviously their D was really bad last year. The whole team was pretty bad, let's be honest. But like the O line is, I've said many times, I think that's just the most crucial part of any team, and they were bottom 5 on offensive line in the league last year, so that's something that, is going to need work. They drafted last year, what that guy's name? Becton, I think his name was. That's a good start. He's a big boy out of Louisville. So, I mean, he's going to progress. And then they moved up this year, and they took, I forget the guy's name, I think Vera Tucker out of USC.
Yeah, Elijah Vera Tucker,
Yep, so that'll hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, anything that you can do that's going to help the second overall pick, you know what I mean? You have to do that, right? Because you invested the pick, you're investing money, and now you're going to at least invest about 3 years with them. So you want to give them the tools. So O-line is super important, and then he needs skilled players. So I think Corey Davis is a huge pickup. Keelan Cole, Elijah Moore, like those receivers, Dante Moncrief, like he needs veteran receivers that know how to really that can help him develop along. This is going to kind of go into the next part of just like the biggest losses for them, which I think them losing Joe Flacco is a big loss, especially because they don't have any veteran quarterbacks on that roster right now. So you really don't have anyone that can really kind of teach him how to be a professional quarterback. Right, especially someone that has been as successful as Joe Flacco has, winning a Super Bowl, being an all-pro type of quarterback. I think that could have helped him a lot as far as his development, not necessarily to compete with him or whatever, but just someone that can really kind of teach him how to read these NFL defenses and just kind of help him develop his skills.
Definitely. I totally agree with you, man. It's funny you said that, because I think a lot of people would hear Flacco and be like, the dude's a bum. But like you just said, it's about his experience. The dude's won a Super Bowl MVP, man. He's been on the highest level, against the best competition. And at one point, he was a great quarterback. I think he was the highest paid quarterback in the league whenever he signed his last deal there in Baltimore. But it's I agree with you. It's going to be rough. If you, out of all the players that they have currently, whether it's a new addition or someone that was already on the team, who would you say is going to be the X factor for them?
I don't know if it's one particular person, but I just think it's going to be that O-line.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's got to be either their O-line or their D as a whole, kind of. Like it's like They were so bad last year.
I think them picking up LaMarcus Joyner can really help, at least from a secondary standpoint, right? His veteran presence, and he's a pretty solid safety. So I think he can definitely help there. So if I was to choose one particular person, it would be him. But if I'm picking one unit, I would definitely say the O-line.
Okay, I gotcha. What's your over under for them for the year? What do you think?
I got 3.
Okay. I got 4, so that's where I'm at too. It's they got good additions, but like we've seen it before, right? With certain teams like Cleveland and Miami last year, but like it's just rare for a team to really make some huge jump when they were so pathetic before, So it's I think 4 or 5 wins. I see them capping out at that, but I think they make good moves. I really do. I think like they're headed in the right direction, but it's gonna take a long time. So.
Yeah.
I guess we can go over to the Dolphins then, since the other two are considered the powerhouses of the AFC East. Obviously, the big ones being Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips. That defensive end, because they had a great D last year, but adding him to just add to that pass rush is going to be absolutely awesome. I don't know. Is there anyone you look at?
Yeah, I mean, not only Waddle and Phillips, but Will Fuller.
Yeah.
Is another thing. Fluker on the O line, anything that's going to again help with. Why am I drawing a blank right now? With Tua's development, and then they just picked up Jason McCourty.
Yep, I saw that.
So a corner. So I think that'll be a huge pickup there. So I think those are mine.
I agree. It's it'll be interesting, man. Though, like if we shoot over to the needs, like their running game, like. See, I don't know about Myles Gaskin, bro. Like, he didn't really do anything last year that really impressed me. Granted, like, he didn't have a ton of carries, so it would be interesting to see if they can give him more, and really move him along. And then, obviously, they lost Breida to Buffalo. So that's going to be huge for them. Like, obviously, like, boosting that O-line, see if they can, start a run game. To be
what's funny?
Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you. No, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
No, my thought was done, so.
Well, I was just going to say, what's funny is just with the Dolphins and the Patriots, how many players they exchange. Well, not necessarily exchange, but they swapped out.
Yeah, right. It is
pretty funny.
Yeah, it is that whole AFC East division because Breida actually went over to Buffalo, but there was a couple that So
McCourty leaves from the Patriots to go to the Jets. You had what was it? Wasn't it? No, not Van Noy.
Yeah, Van Noy went over to
he's
the Patriots.
Yeah, he's with the Patriots now.
Yeah.
Like it's so just those changing things.
Definitely. Definitely
crazy.
What do you think of Tua, man? Like after his first year?
I mean, of course, I don't think he really performed as well as people were hoping he was. But then I think there was just a lot going. I think a lot that he was having to manage to as far as just like that whole quarterback room with him and why am I drawing a blank on people's names right now? Fitz.
Okay.
I think them balancing that, and then if I'm not mistaken, didn't one of them catch COVID? They had a COVID situation on the team for a second.
Have. Yeah, you might be right.
So I think him again, them picking up players from the that's giving them options as far as receivers, him having some familiarity with Jalen Waddle, with Will Fuller, and then picking up Will Fuller, who can just blow the top off the defense and everything. I think it would really help. It's gonna hurt that they're losing Van Noy and then also losing Shaq Lawson. Like those are gonna be some really big losses from a defensive standpoint that they're gonna have to make up.
Definitely. Yeah, you're right, because that's kind of what carried them to that 10 wins last year, honestly, was that defense. Their offense was kind of stagnant at times. There was just long periods where they couldn't score the football, like they just go possession after possession. So it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know where I stand with Tua yet. Granted, he's really young, so I really can't give like a really bad assessment of him. Like he's, he needs to develop. It is what it is. But I don't know. To be honest with you, I think they take a step back this year and they're going to go like 7-10. That's where I see them this year.
I put them almost similar. I put my 8-8.
Yeah.
I'm just.
There's another game this year.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
That's
I
gonna take
forgot.
so long for me to like, because I'm just automatically
Yeah.
calculating to 16.
It's like 16, yeah, but yeah. But just put him at there.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
yeah. It's because the thing is that, like, I feel like the Patriots are reemerging. The Jets are going to be better, and the Bills are better than them. I don't know if they're going to be better than they were last year, but like, I don't know. I don't see the Dolphins replicating the success that they had last year. But
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, but we'll see.
yeah, we really will.
Who you think is the X factor for the Dolphins, though?
Oh, I mean, honestly, I'm gonna have to say Tua, because when you're bringing in these two new receivers, right? They kind of bolster the offensive line a little bit. Granted, like I said, I think they need to figure out their run game. If Tua Fuller can fly down the field, so like if Tua, like it's, and so can Waddle. So it really just depends on like can Tua make the right reads and get them the ball like on like 20+ yard routes. You know what I mean? Like, and really like scare D's.
And the thing with Waddle is, it's not like it has to be a long ball every time. You just need to give them ball at space, and he'll make it happen from there. So I think they just got to get creative with the offense.
I do too. I just think that they need to have the long ball as a threat, because like that was my big problem being a Saints fan last year. Was like you could totally tell when the playoffs roll around, and even in the regular season, like everyone knew Drew Brees is not throwing the ball 25+ yards anymore. So it was like, we're bringing everyone over the top, boxing everyone into this little zone, and it's like, okay, Drew, like if you want to try to beat us to the long ball, we're gonna let you do it. And like,
look,
yeah, so like I kind of see that as the same situation here. Granted, Tua has arm strength. I just don't know about his accuracy and his decision making yet. So it's just gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, can
he, like I said, read these defenses and like burn teams when they're making foolish mistakes if they got people like Fuller running, go routes.
Not to mention, I'm gonna have a little bit more confidence in Tua just because I think he'll have a full off season, completely healthy and everything. So I'm gonna have a little bit more confidence in him going into the season.
What about you? Do you have an X factor for the Dolphins?
For me, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be the O line again. But I think you're right. I think it's just going to come down to Tua. Yeah. Like if he can take that next step in his development, which I'm hoping that he does, then they'll be really good.
Definitely, yeah. Biggest storyline probably in the division is going to be the Patriots, just being their history,
hands down.
Then how weird of a season they had last year. I mean, like, just take a minute to think about how different their team looked last year compared to, we were so used to the Brady era, and then like Cam Newton was running their offense. Like, that was crazy to see, man. Like, and
it was a heavy run offense that they had, a complete lack of receivers. Defense was missing like five. No, not the whole entire defense, but they were missing 5 starters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And these weren't some small names; these were big names. So
definitely, it's funny you say that though, because some of them, because obviously like Donta Hightower and Stephon Gilmore will be coming back, which is huge for them. But Patrick Chung actually decided to retire. He didn't play last year, and he's retiring. So it's like that's huge.
That's a huge loss.
Yeah, because he was a leader on that D.
Edelman too. I think is a big loss. Like he was so key, especially on third downs.
Yep.
Like that's a huge loss. And then, like I said, you losing McCourty on the defensive side. You matching up McCourty with Stephon Gilmore. Like that's a tough secondary to kind of beat.
Exactly.
And then you lost Joe Thuney, who's a really good old lineman. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's a guard. Like they lost some key pieces, but picking up Kyle Van Noy, picking up both of the tight ends, Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, I think those are huge.
I was gonna say, I in my life I've never seen the Patriots go so hard in the free agency. Like that was crazy, bro. Like
and I think that's gonna be big for Cam because we know Cam a bit struggles with accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
But if they can really take advantage of those tight ends and then down the middle with everything, I think it will. Especially Cam is really good in play action, so if they can get him play action down the middle type of stuff. Nelson Aguilar was huge.
Yep, definitely. He's a speedster.
Yeah, and then they're just picking up like I even like picking up Mac Jones. I think was just super smart. I don't know how effective it is going to be for this year because I think Cam will probably start the whole entire season.
Okay.
But just looking out further on, Christian Barmore, I think was huge for them.
Yeah.
Matt Judon.
Definitely,
like
man.
they made hell of additions that I think is going to make a big improvement for them.
I do too. That's interesting. I was going to ask you about the quarterback situation. So you think they're just going to give Mac Jones a year to develop and let Cam ride this one out?
I think so. I mean, I think you have to, unless Cam is just completely trash. And I don't think, I mean, even the way that Cam played last year, they were 7-9.
Yeah,
I don't think
exactly.
Cam is going to be that bad again. Like I just don't see, especially now that he has weapons. He'll have a whole time. He'll have a full off season to pick up the offense and everything. A full training camp, and just another year under there. I just can't see Mac Jones really beating out Cam like that.
Especially right away. You know, from a lot of the reports too, it's interesting. I don't want to dog on the guy because I don't, you know, he played great for what he was, but the big criticisms of Mac Jones was he's as good as everyone that's around him, and he had Alabama, bro. So it's like, you know, he had the top of the elite as far as recruitments. Every player around him, you know, is a star. You know, huge, highly touted. Clearly, we're probably going to the next level to play. So it was always just a question of, can he actually elevate a team, or has he just been riding the coattails of an elite program, you know? So once he gets in there, it's going to be really interesting to see how he develops and if he can actually take his game to a next level and, you know, be considered more than like a game manager. I don't know if you would consider him a game manager in Alabama. He made some really good throws, but again, it's just the talent was so big. Like, it was just so great. So
yeah, but you still got to be able to make that throw.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and he has a good arm. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting. But I definitely think they're going to ride with Cam to start, like you said, and it really just depends on how Cam plays. Like, if they get halfway through and Cam's not looking so good, I could see them turning it over to him. So
I just have a hard time believing that Cam is just going to be as bad as he was last year. I really do have I can't see it.
Yeah, it's. I would think he'd be better too, unless like he is washed up, you know. And like there was games last year where he looked phenomenal. Like I was watching him, like, you know, in the beginning, and then like we've talked about a couple times in the pod, like he got hurt or whatever, and then COVID.
COVID, Then so we'll see. Hopefully they can pick it up. So who do you think is the X factor? Is it Cam?
It's the running game, bro. Like I don't.
It's not there.
What they have not, you know, it's been Sony Michel and what's the other dude's name, James White, for so long. James White's returning, and now Damon Harris is there too. But like, I'm not sold on them, man. Like, it's like you need someone that can. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a bell cow running back, but just someone that's gonna move the ball, you know, up the trenches and move the chains. And like those guys are, for some reason, since LeGarrette Blount left, like, and even him, he was just usually a short yardage, you know, like third down type of back, goal line back. But like, they've been running these sets of like this running back by committee with a bunch of little speed receiver running backs for so long. Like, it's crazy. But I don't know. I think that's the X factor. You know, if they can run the ball well, especially having Cam, maybe run some option routes, you know, like, you know, just have him bounce off the outside. If they can get their run game going, I think that's going to open everything up for them offensively.
Yeah, I think they have to pull back on the number of attempts that Cam is running.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like I think they have to pull that back now. If he's just running because there's no other options and he has to then, you know, for sure. But I think I think it's too many design runs for Cam.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he's short yardage, like I get it, he's huge. It's difficult to bring him down. But they have to cut back on that, and I think they will now that there will be weapons there. Like I ain't even talking about Nelson Aguilar. Like they should be much improved.
Yeah, he's definitely a good red zone threat. And then we haven't even talked about these two tight ends, and I really just thought of this, to be honest with you. That's a huge goal line presence when you got two tight ends like that. They can catch the ball. They're that athletic. So hopefully, I agree with you completely. I think if they're running plays for Cam to run the ball off like an option where it's like he's going to be open and he's going to slide down or whatever and not take a hit, that's okay. But like, they got to limit him with these hits that he's taking that are unnecessary, because it's just going to take a toll on him.
Yeah. Yes, I think for me, I think it's going to come down. It comes down to Cam, honestly. Like it really does. Like he has to perform in order for them to do well. If I'm going over under, I would go at 9.
Okay.
For the Pats.
All right. I don't know. I have faith in them. I don't know what it is. I think it's because they got returning players. And You know what? I agree with you. I think Cam's gonna have a bounce back here. I'm gonna go 12-5 for the Patriots this year. So I
Okay.
think they're gonna be competing with the powerhouse of the division, the new powerhouse of the division. So we're gonna go into the Bills. They drafted Gregory Rousseau and Carlos Basham Jr. out of Wake Forest. That's two defensive ends to kind of solidify that pass rush for them. What were you saying about Rousseau?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Russo's a kid that he's the one out of was it Miami? No,
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think it's
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
The
that
U.
one he just went off, and I think he led the nation in sacks, but it just the production just wasn't consistently there,
Definitely.
and so know if he'll be able to live up to like that one crazy year that he had. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, granted, he'll be lined up with some other dogs, so he may be okay. But like you said, I think like them just trying to take in that same thought process when it comes to like, okay, this is what we need to bolster because Tampa Bay gave us the blueprint on how we need to go about beating the Chiefs and just putting as much pressure as we can on Patrick Mahomes because they know that they're going to end up running. It's going to be just a collision course between the two of those teams. But I honestly think like the additions that they made with Emmanuel Sanders and Matt Breida on offense, I think really is going to just make their offense even more potent. Like adding Emmanuel Sanders with Stephon Diggs, I think that combo with Josh Allen being able to run the ball, like that's like
totally agree, bro.
They from an offensive standpoint, I mean, granted, it depends on how creative they can get, on offense, but they can damn near match. I can see them matching, the Kansas City from an offensive standpoint.
No, I'm with you completely. I think Emmanuel Sanders is huge for them. He really didn't last year get to really show much, being that Drew Brees was in and out of the lineup, and even when he was there, he wasn't really Drew Brees anymore, So it's like,
yeah.
Now he's with an elite quarterback. Like I think Josh Allen's a top 5 quarterback in this league. So it's he can make any throw there is. He can throw the ball, 60 plus yards. Like he thrives off that. Back in the day, that's when he was at his best, when he had Peyton Manning, just slinging it to him. So it's going to be very interesting having two receivers like that. Yeah, I don't know. I have high expectations for the Bills, and I'm like a Bills fan now, honestly, just seeing how they played last year. They were so fun to watch. So much energy.
Yeah, like with you, even though I think, them losing Quentin Jefferson, I think is going to be big on the defensive line. And I even think losing John Brown, granted, I know he probably wasn't the best, but I think, he's just a guy that, like, again, you put him in space, he can make some things happen. And I think maybe losing that could be hurtful. But other than that, I mean, I honestly think they can go like 12, 13 games.
I do too. Yeah, I got him at 13-4. Hopefully I'm hoping, like you just said, I think John Brown is a loss for that deep threat, but hopefully Emmanuel Sanders,
right.
He's not as fast, but like hopefully he'll just compensate for what John Brown, the loss was.
Catcher. Like he can catch. I think he's a lot more dynamic than John Brown is, especially from a slot standpoint.
Definitely. And for me, it's the same thing as we said about the Patriots, man. Like I'm not sold on that run game over there. Like Devin Singletary had a good season.
He did.
But he only had 150 carries is my thing. So it's like he's very young. Let's get him up to like 200 carries and see if he can actually, like really take on that role of like a star running back. I mean, they did bring in Breida, right? And they have, I think, that other guy, Zach Moss. So I don't know if they plan on – that's just the way of the league,
Yeah, I don't know if they necessarily need to, especially, with just Allen and the weapons that they got on the outside. I don't know if he necessarily needs to have – maybe, he can go up to like maybe 200.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah, I'm understand that. But other than – I don't honestly – because the way that the game is played right now, it's all about the pass game. And – now they got like they got that 3-headed monster in the backfield with Breida and Zach Moss. Like those guys are pretty dynamic guys.
Yeah, definitely.
I really and Buffalo's gonna be tough next year.
They are, really man.
Tough, man. Like see them pushing, Kansas City a little bit more than this past year. So it's like I'm excited to see them, and I think they're gonna hands down. I think they're gonna win the division again.
I agree with you too, man. I think the Patriots will be up there, but I think the Bills got it. They did lose some linemen, but I know they drafted Brian Winters, I think his name is, in the third
Yep.
round. So hopefully that will help them out. I think I don't know. Like, what do you think? What's the ceiling for Josh Allen? Like, he's so young, bro. Like, I could see, and I already think he's like a top 5 quarterback. Like, he could really be one of the best quarterbacks in this league if he can. He's not even near his prime. Like, he's nowhere near his prime.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you think about it. Last year, he was in the MVP conversation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So I think the ceiling for him is to be MVP. I think being MVP, being he's already top 5. So what you maybe move into like a top 3 like quarterback in the league. It's difficult. It's going to be difficult to kind of push aside Mahomes and Rodgers. So yeah, it's the kid can ball. He can definitely ball. And now that he has the weapons to do so, and even more weapons, it's going to be a lot of pressure. Is going to be. This is the thing I think is going to be the thing. It's like, how is going to deal with now that expectation? Like, we've seen that you can do this. Now, can you do this again? Like, I think that's. I think the X factor is, again, it's going to come down to him, which I think a lot of these things are going to come down to the quarterback. But the X factor really is him, is how he's going to be able to manage the expectations of, like, coming to the season, being an MVP candidate, and those expectations, having those expectations, like, we're expecting to do 12 to 13, get 12 to 13 wins. Expectations of having to win the division again and beating the Patriots that are reloaded. It's going to be really good to see how the whole team just responds to those expectations.
Yeah, dude, that's such a good point, because you think about it, like, the season he just had was on no expectations. Stephon Diggs went over there. Same thing. It was like, I don't think, Diggs went over there and people were like, he's coming off an off year. We don't know if Diggs is what he is anymore. They decided to roll with Thielen and ship him out. Like, now it's like, okay, you guys just won however many games they won. I think maybe 12. And it's like, it's, the expectation, like you said, is way higher. So it's a good point. Is it lightning in a bottle, or is it like, is he going to like continue to like do this year after year? I have hope that he will, though, man, because like, his intangibles are just great. He can make so many throws. Like you said, he can run the ball. He seems like he's a smart quarterback. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way very much, that's one of my favorite qualities in a quarterback, Like Brett Favre was one of my favorites growing up, but like, it just would drive me crazy seeing that dude just like sling it, into double coverage, and just like I don't see Allen being that type of guy, even though he's a gunslinger. Like, he does it when it's like, I've got someone open, like, and I'm not going to put the ball in harm's way. And I like that.
Yeah, not to mention, he's a big dude.
Yeah, so huge.
He can move. He's a big dude, so like that play action is going to be huge for them. He can run off with the ball if need be, and he's a guy like we were kind of talking about with Trey Lance, where he's not trying to maneuver around you. He's trying to run you over. You know what I mean? So he's going to be nice. But yeah, I have Buffalo running away with it. Like, I said, I think the most I've got the Patriots at 9 wins, maybe 10, but 12 to 13 easily for the Bills.
I'd agree. It'll be interesting. Like, do you think they would be a step closer to the Chiefs this year?
That I don't know, because the way that Chiefs, and we'll talk about it when we get to the division, but like, they picked up some really, really nice pieces on that O-line, and that was really, the weak link outside of like probably like defensive core, and more so I think like their linebackers. So we'll see.
It'll be interesting. It really will. That's just such an interesting division. Even though Brady's gone, you would think like that it would fall apart. But then the emergence of the Bills, right? And then like we were just saying, the Patriots having such a bizarre season, and now they're reloaded, like you just said. Yeah. The Jets finally seem like, after like 4 or 5 years of complete like ineptitude, like they're finally gonna like turn it around. They have, what's the guy's name? Slaya, the new coordinator, the new head coach. Is he from San Francisco? Saleh, yeah, he's solid. I like him. He's gonna bring a winning culture over there.
Like just a no nonsense type of guy, and he's gonna bring it. You know what I mean? I mean, if he can get that defense to perform anything like he was able to get that Niners defense to go, like that, they're going to be tough. I think they'll probably still lose a lot of games, but like it's gonna be like they're gonna be in. Those are gonna be close games that they're gonna be in. the whole entire time. And it's just, having a rookie quarterback that, is just trying to get used to things. But if he can get that defense to perform like he did in San Francisco, they're going to have a lot of close games.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, bro. It's because they had some of those games last year where it was like, and they just couldn't pull it out in the end, because they were the Jets. They made stupid plays. They weren't disciplined. So, do you remember that game against the Raiders when remember they were they up by 3 and the Raiders scored that 60-yard touchdown? It was just like, oh my Lord, you guys have no discipline, bro. They ran a whole-on blitz on the last play. It was like, you're not going to play coverage? Okay.
The dumbest. Why would I don't understand why they did that. I have no idea.
I don't
they
either.
Were clowning the defensive coordinator for that too.
They were, man. I don't remember, but people were calling for him to get fired right after that game. They were
you up and they got to go how far and you do an all-out blitz? Come on.
Prevent defense and you're good. It's
That's
not.
That's it.
I don't understand. Yeah, it'll be, but again, it seems like they under Saleh will be more disciplined and have more of a winning culture. So every team there will at least have that a better culture, and I think they're going to be strong-willed teams. So that division is going to be tough. Just all the interdivision games. I don't see any of them really being blowout. I mean, I'm sure some will be, but they'll just be tough fought games.
It's gonna be some blowouts.
Definitely, but.
I'm sorry, but when the Bills play the Jets, it's gonna be a blowout.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not gonna be pretty.
I'm so interested in Zach Wilson, man. He's the one out of all those quarterbacks that came in. I've said that I think he's gonna do the worst because I don't know anything about him.
I'm with you, bro.
So that'll be very interesting. I hope he proves me wrong. I want to see him ball out. That'd be cool. But I in that system and you're kind of going to a broken, granted, he's going into a better position than Darnold was going in. Darnold was just thrown to the wolves.
Yeah. He really was and had literally nothing there.
Absolutely nothing.
Up Le'Veon, who had a whole year off, and then Le'Veon got injured. And yeah, so I'm hoping Darnold gets a chance in Carolina because I like Darnold. I think he's nice. I really do. He just needs to be in a right situation.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see him with the actual functioning organization because I think Carolina is way better off than the Jets in that department as far as just an organization as a whole. So we'll see. And he's going to have more weapons than he did in New York. So who knows?
Yeah. Even especially just from the running standpoint, having McCaffrey there.
Oh, yeah.